Hello everyone. This is our last class, so that means, first of all, I hope you're doing well, that you remain in good health, and that you are negotiating the end of the semester without too much panic, and that everything is going calmly and smoothly. So I'm gonna try to help you do that, right? At least as far as this class is concerned, because we really want to finish. We have a few things to finish off, and it's important to sort of make sure that you're square with a couple things before we're able to really finish the semester the way we want to. So in this video, I'm first going to sort of talk about how the sort of schedule of what work I expect you to hand in, and how that's going to go, and then I'm going to describe some documents I've sent you, a video, also video, sort of annotations to videos I've already sent. So there's going to be a lot of information in this video, and at the end I'm going to give some extra information. Well, there's one last thing we need to see about relative clauses. Okay, so first of all, we are today? It is the day is the 7th, I believe it is Wednesday, the 7th of April. As you are aware, next week, the week of the 12th, Easter week, we do not have class, right? And this is also week 11, right? Which means the following week, the week of the 20th, right? That is our final class, and that means the 22nd, April 22nd, is our final class. And so I will ask you to hand in your final exam on that date. This final exam, I will send it to you, right, as a Word document, and I will ask you to complete it. I will send it to you the day before. I will send the final exam to you on Tuesday the 21st at noon, right? So you will receive the exam on the preceding day at noon, and I will ask you to send it back to me by midnight. Be a little bit lenient about that. By midnight the following day, so midnight the 22nd, I will ask you to hand that back to me. So it's really important that you respect this deadline, because there is a minimum of time constraint. Obviously, you have more. Perhaps we should say freedom than you would normally have if we were going to do this exam. If you were going to sit this exam at Paris 8, but of course we cannot do that given the situation. So that means I should probably. There's a few things to do. Don't worry. We're going to go through exactly what's expected of you on this exam. I'm thinking of the best way to go about describing this. Yes, maybe I'll go through the material that will be on this exam. Now, it will be comprehensive, because there's no way that we can we're building on what we already covered by the first exam. So this means that what did we see for the first exam? As a reminder, of course, we saw nominal clauses, right, and adverbials. So you're expected to be able to identify structure and function of nominal clauses and adverbials, right? And the new material, right, is that we saw relative clauses, right, okay, and coordinated clauses, right, in texts, right? We confronted the things we already knew in texts, and that was actually, as I described in the video that you already saw, that was really why we spent so much time really talking about coordinated clauses in the second part, because there are a lot of coordinated clauses in texts, and it's important for you to be able to sort of negotiate those. Okay, so that is what you sort of have. That is sort of the new material. So you're responsible for the old material, because of course they're going to be present in any text that we analyze, and you are with the additional new material, meaning since the first test will be relative clauses, coordinated clauses, and the fact that we're looking at texts. Okay. I will, to help you do this, you will find as an attached document in the email that I sent you today, right? You will find a test with a correction, right? And this is a test that I gave a couple of years ago. It's going to be so that means the one that you will take in 2 weeks is going to be very similar in form to the one that I'm giving you, meaning that there will be really 3 parts. There will be obviously a translation, right? Okay. There will be a section on translation. There will be also a section on identifying subordinate clauses, giving their structure and function, right? And this could include nominal clauses, relatives, right? Okay, and adverbials, right? So there is that, the same kind of work that we did for the first test. And then there will be a short text, and you are going to identify the subordinate and the coordinated clauses, right? Okay. If the coordinated clauses are subordinate, right? Sometimes we can have 2 coordinated, I would say sort of independent clauses, right? If we have 2 coordinated independent clauses, you don't need to give structure and function. You just say 1 and 2 are coordinated clauses. For example, I ate the cereal and she finished the chocolate. Okay, so here we have I ate the cereal. That is 1. You can identify that with brackets, and the second clause will be she finished the chocolate, right? Those are 2. We could say independent. You can add the fact that they're independent, but you can just say, well, here we have 2 coordinated clauses. And we're not going to talk about structure and function because they're not subordinate, right? We've only noticed we're really concerned about the subordinate clauses. So if we've gone through this I've gone through this methodology in a previous text, and you will also be able to check what you know with that test that I corrected, because there are going to be there are going to be coordinated clauses which are subordinated, right? If we have 2 coordinated clauses, right? Okay, notice that means they're going to have the same structure and function. So you're going to, let's say if we have 2 coordinated clauses, you just identify them, right? And you say, let's say with brackets, you say this is coordinated clause number 1 with a 1 around the brackets. Coordinated clause 2 is number 2. So you say 1 and 2 are coordinated, right? And then for both, you give the structure and function because they will have the same structure and function because they're coordinated, right? And that is something we saw that is explained in the video when we went through that. So you're going to have another chance to kind of practice on that, because in the exam, in the text, which is in the exam, which you will receive as an attached document, you're going to have 1 copy where it's sort of the blank test, right? And then there's the correction with the brackets, and you will be able to verify if you have done that correctly as far as being able to identify coordinated clauses. And then once you have identified the coordinated clauses, if they're subordinate, right, to give their common structure and function, because coordination is always 2 similar elements having a similar function, they will have the same structure and function. It is possible to have different structures coordinated, right? It's sort of a stylistic device, but that is we're not really going to treat that. That'll be interesting to keep in mind if you are really going to analyze a text for literature. That is interesting to note when 2 dissimilar things are coordinated. It's good to be aware of that. That can help you as you go farther. So that is what you are largely responsible for. Another thing I want to explain is another thing I'm going to ask you to do is to, along with this is sort of an accompaniment to your the test, is I will ask you to hand in a short text, right? This is the idea of this is to really help you, become a better writer. And I'm just going to ask you to write 5. You can write 5 continuous sentences, one related to the other, or just 5 sentences that are, discontinuous, that are not related one to the other. And I want 2 of those sentences. With each sentence should be, a complex sentence, I mean each sentence should have a subordinate clause in it, okay? And I would like 2 of those subordinate clauses to be relative clauses, okay? So that will be an assignment that you can hand in at the, that'll be a second document that you can hand in to me on the 22nd, right? This writing, or you could include it in the same document, but hand that in at the same time. This sort of writing assignment, right? That goes along with the exam, and you can start on that now, right? Of course, you should start to practice for the exam now with the document that you will have received in the email, right? But you can write it, starting from now. You have 2 weeks to write your 5 sentences. Of course, these are supposed to be your own sentences. I really would not like to find them in a Google search, right? So this is your own, and I shouldn't find 2 sentences that are identical with 2 of my students, right? These are your own. The idea is that you write your own sentences. You're using what we've learned to be able to express yourself. Fine. So that is hopefully. And this information will be, summed up in the email that you will have received. So hopefully you're a little bit square with that, right? Another thing I would like to explain, one last detail. Actually, I had 2 emails of students who said that they found things a little bit confusing to follow. So what I did was I sort of annotated the two videos that there's another video a new video that you have a link to that you will find in the mail that you have received. So there's a new video that you will receive this week and an older one, right? And for both of those videos, I've annotated them, right? That means I have gone through and said, at the 2-minute, 30 mark, I'm discussing such and such an aspect, right? So I would encourage you to go back and watch those with the annotations. I think that you'll find that easier to follow. So you should watch the video with the annotations and also the other, documents that I've given you. And if for some reason you found things difficult to follow, watch them again. I've gone through them again because this is something that I've taught for a few years, and I think the presentation holds. I'm going to add one new thing in this video, but I prefer really going back and spending the time annotating those videos that I had previously made, so that you can really feel assured so that you really know what I'm talking about at each time, right? So take the time to go through that with the annotations that you will find as an attached document. That's one important thing. So that means we'll have one new video for this week, but just remember that along with these annotations are annotations for the video for last week, right? Because 2 of you said that you had difficulty following that, and I appreciate your feedback. It's good that you let me know that I can really make sure that you're kind of up to speed. Okay. Another thing that will help you will be in one of the videos. There is a sort of a text that is discussed, and that will also be a part of the annotations. And in one of those videos, it's something that there is a part that is a demonstration, right? It's a demonstration in which you are able to prove that a given subordinate is either a relative clause or in a positive clause, right? And I go through I give a written example of a demonstration. Now that is something I was going to ask you to do. I'm not going to ask you to do that proof. You might want to watch that because that will make you, the reason why I like to ask you to do that proof is that it means that you're in full possession of what they are. For example, it means that you are not going to look elsewhere when I ask you if something is. The only way to really know that something is true is that you can show that it's true, right? Okay. So there are a few ways to do it. Now you might find that part of the video challenging, right? It's the part that will really assure that you are as square as can be with relative clauses and appositive clauses. But you will not be tested on that in 2 weeks. Okay, so you might want to take that with a grain of salt. You will be able to follow. There is that part of the demonstration refers to a text that you will find along with the in the annotations. You'll find that at the bottom. You might want to go through that. It's really up to you. I leave that to your discretion, but I will not test you on that. Okay, so I would say don't let that get you bent out of shape. But it is important if you want to really feel confident that you have a firm grasp of the difference between an appositive and a relative. That's the place to go to make sure that you're square with that. Great. So that is all as far as in this video, as far as sort of describing what you're supposed to do over the next 2 weeks, how we're going to finish off the semester. And this information, or much of it, the gist of what I've just said